At this time, will you all please stand as we will, once the colors are presented, we'll do the Pledge of Allegiance.
Forward. Jesus. So, that. Did you see a type? Yeah.
No. Hey.
On the clock.
Big tent. Oh.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Order. Oh. Right. Hey. Forward. Forward. Hold this. Right. Wait. Close. Hold.
Jeez.
Present. Come on.
Start.
Forward.
Back. Right.
Hey.
Forward.
No.
Down. Hold.
Forward. Mark.
Washington B. Shouldn't you this far?
Thank you. All may be seated. At this time, I'd like to welcome the best mayor in all of Tennessee, Honorable Mayor Pitts.
Somehow this guy. Rodney swear to.
Well, good morning, everybody. I paid him to say that, so thank you, Scott, for that kind introduction. I have to tell you, without a doubt, 100%, this is the safest place in Clarksville right now.
No,
It's another beautiful day in our city where we honor a man who has devoted his career to protecting our citizens, and we usher in a new and exciting chapter in not only in the history of the Clarksville Police Department, but in the life of our city with the swearing in of a new police chief. These kinds of events take a committee to put it together, so I want to recognize a few folks who did that. Scott Bobian, the Public Information Officer with the Police Department, Angela Downey, who keeps the trains running on time and usually babysits the chief, Lisa Canfield, our city clerk, Stephanie Jenkins, in the mayor's office, and Jimmy Settle, the communications director for the city. I want to say thank you to those who put this together. So thank you. Let's give them a round of applause if you would. Another part of my responsibility this morning is recognizing a few special guests who've joined us for this momentous occasion. I'll ask you to hold your applause until we've introduced everybody, and it's a list, so I'll just ask for your patience. But as I call your name or your group, I'll ask you to stand and remain standing, and at the end, we will recognize everyone with a round of applause. Of course, the First Lady of our city, my wife Cynthia, is here. You would stand, please. The current and soon-to-be former Chief of Police for the Clarksville Police Department and his wife, Chief David Crockarell and Lori, please stand. I think I saw former Chief Al Ainsley in the audience. Chief Ainsley, I know you're here, so you can't hide too much. He's always in the back. All right. I think Chief Johnny Rawson. Anyway, there he is. Thank you, Chief Rawson. We have city council members who confirmed unanimously the new police chief. I'll ask them to stand as a group. They're over here to my right. City Judge Charles Smith. Judge Smith, thank you for being here. We have other elected officials in the audience today. County Mayor Wes Golden, his wife Sarah. We have county commissioners in the room. Our county trustee, Kim Wiggins. The Register of Deeds, Julie Runyon. And if there are other elected officials from the county here, I'll ask you to stand at this moment. We have an esteemed group of judges from Montgomery County who are here. I'll ask you to stand as well. They're scattered around. There they are. Not scattered around, they're bunched up in the back. All right. Our District Attorney General, Robert Nash. General Nash, thank you for being here. And then members of our Fort Campbell family. We have Command Sergeant Major Ryan Jeffers of the Garrison here, Chief of Police Vader, and then Rudy Durian, the Deputy Director of Emergency Services for Fort Campbell, joining us today. We also have retired members of the Clarksville Police Department who are here. Please stand so we can make sure we recognize you, or wave your hand. Thank you. Thank you, scattered around. And then current members of the Clarksville Police Department family. We want to ask you to stand.
Thanks. Sitting.
Come on, don't be bashful. If you're wearing a uniform, we know you. All right, I want to say thank you to all of you. Let's give them a round of applause, please. You may be seated. Today, we bear witness to the passing of the torch, the peaceful transfer of leadership from one outstanding man of character to another. Mayors and other leaders across our country are envious of our position in the world because of our outstanding police department. We have the best police department by far, anywhere, by any measure in the country. Because, yes, thank you. Not only because of the leadership of the police department, but because of the men and the women who work in the department. Over the next few minutes, you're going to hear from both men, and we're eternally grateful for their leadership. So without further ado, let's begin. Scott?
Oh, something keeps changing. Please. All right. You know, it takes a lot to become a police officer and have that ingrained in you to want to serve and protect. It's not for everybody. And you know, a young David Crockarell, 24 years old, joined the Clarksville Police Department and answered that call. 1995. He was sworn in. Oh, I'm sorry, got ahead of myself. At this time, member of the Honor Guard is going to present Lori Crockarell with a dozen red roses. And these represent a farewell and love and appreciation for your dedicated support to David in all these years and to the Clarksville Police Department. You know, for someone to commit 30 years of their life to serving other people is really something to be said, in my opinion. Again, you have to take it to heart of serving and protecting. Dave Crockarell joined the Clarksville Police Department December 1st, 1995. And the thing about it is he's always been Croc. Throughout his whole career, everybody's recognized him. It's always, you know, whether it was sergeant, lieutenant, captain, but it was always Croc. I mean, they showed the respect to him in the rank, but again, when you address him, it was Croc. He liked that. He's excelled in every position that he's ever held, and people were always naturally drawn to him. He had a natural leadership about him. Everywhere he went, every shift that he went, he excelled. And did a lot of things within the department, started off as a patrolman, as we all do. He became a detective and a sergeant.
Let's see. Should we?
And while he was a leader and a mentor, he was also, instigator of a few shenanigans along the way.
Massachusetts. Roger.
That's possible. It's true. Promoted to sergeant in 2001. He was over in District 2A days is where I first met him. He was a member of the TAC team leader, assistant commander, and a commander with 192 tactical operations, overseeing and being a part of that, participating and overseeing. He was instrumental in the Clarksville Police Department getting our first Bearcat armored vehicle, and now the department has 2 of those. 2008, he was promoted to lieutenant, took over as training director. His focus was always been making the police department better. Surrounded himself with good people, he handpicked his crew, focused on schools and training, and everything we did at that time was always, again, about officer safety, making sure that everybody went home at the end of the day. He also instilled the field training sergeant program and the field trained detective, and also was instrumental in the building. Our first building that we had built for CPD was the training complex as well as the scenario house. And again, these just made the training helped officers become better at their job. And if you're familiar with, most of us are, with the training trailer, at least we got out of that out at Vista Lane. It was a nice change of pace. 2011, Croc was promoted to captain, served up in District 1, where he was instrumental in the building of the precinct up there, 211 Cunningham Lane. 2017, he was moved over to Special Operations over the drug agents, homicide, Special Victims Unit, and K-9. 2018, he was promoted to deputy chief.
Good.
And then in 2020, July 1st, 2020, he was promoted to chief of police. Most of you know 2020 was a different time in this world where COVID-19 had pretty much shut down the city, shut down the world. And also, the George Floyd incident cast a dark shadow upon law enforcement. And Croc took over. We've always had a great relationship with the city of Clarksville, but we had demonstrations here, not violent or anything. But as he came in, he brought up the motto of to be kind, be fair, and be lawful. And it's not a sign of weakness of being kind, but it's just a matter of respect. And he instilled this upon every officer, every recruit that came through the doors. And then the badge itself says integrity, honor, and courage. And you've been an epitome of all of that. He's always managed to surround himself with a solid foundation of people to help him support his mission. And then some of the accomplishments that he did was a part of digitized the police department, condensed our policy manual, created the intel unit over the 4th and 5th Advanced Accreditation Award. He did graduate the FBI National Academy before he was chief of police, and then he was also a board member of the Tennessee Association of Chiefs of Police. And then probably more importantly, he allowed beards. So in 2021, he opened up the District 3 precinct on International Boulevard. So we've continued to grow and expand, which is always something that he's always pushed for. But Croc has always been the consummate professional. Everybody's just naturally gravitated to him in his leadership. And when you heard 151 was on the radio, if you heard 151, you knew who was in charge, and you knew that everything was going to be good. There's no mistake in that. He's always said to leave it better than you found it, and he has worked to do that. And then this here in 2024, the 427 employees, he has hired 189 of the officers in the department, which is 55% sworn officers. And so here is just a glimpse of some of his career. And at this time, I'd like to invite Mayor Pitts to come back up.
Thank you again, Scott. And no matter how hard you try, when you start introducing people and recognizing people in the crowd, you're going to leave some folks out. So I want to go back and correct my mistake. Not the first one I made today, nor the last one. We have members of the Tennessee General Assembly. I think I saw Senator Powers, Representative Glenn, and others who may be here. Thank you for being here. And then former Montgomery County Mayor Jim Durrett is also with us. Mayor Durrett, thank you for also being here today. David Crockarell was sworn in as the 17th Chief of Police, as you know, on July 1st, 2020. As Scott said, his tenure was very successful by any measure. But it was marked by great progress in our city and for the women and men who serve both in uniform and those who support those in uniform. He's given it his all to make the department the envy of the state and nation while never taking attention away from everyone who serves or has served in the department. I didn't want this to become a eulogy, so I'm going to recount one of my favorite stories about David Crockarell, and he's thinking, oh my gosh, what is that story? There was one particular late night call, an early morning call that the department was making, and Chief Crockarell, as he has done throughout his career, and he knows, he's smiling, he knows where this story's going. He called me to give me a report. It was early in the morning. He called my cell phone. I missed his call because of the early morning hour. So I listened to it the next morning, and I had a voicemail from him that said, in part, in a very stern voice, I might add, "You gotta answer my calls." I saved that recording, still have it on my phone. So I attributed his angst to a sleepless night full of tension as the situation was resolved safely for our officers and the public. That's Chief Crockarell. Not afraid to yell at the mayor when he needs to, or tackle the most difficult task with every ounce of passion, vim, and vigor that served you and served you well, Chief. So we're here to celebrate you for running your race, finishing your course, and leaving the department in our city a much better place than you found it. Chief Crockarell, on behalf of the Clarksville City Council and the 182,000 people who call this beautiful city home, thank you. Thank you for stretching toward the goal line, never asking those in command to do anything you haven't done or wouldn't do, including yelling at the mayor. So one last time, may I ask you to come forward so we can present a couple of things to you? As we've done time and time again, Chief, when we do retirement videos, there is a certificate that we want to present to you, and the time-honored tradition of presenting as allowed by state law, thank you to the delegation for that, presenting your service weapon to you upon your retirement. So first, we have the retirement certificate.
I appreciate, thank you. Thank you. You want to make sure that I don't think I yelled. I think you did yell.
We'll play the recording if you want evidence.
And then your service weapon. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Chief Crockarell, you have the floor.
All right. Put this stuff over here. Come on, eat this.
Yeah, so those wondering, I actually did do a little homework and wrote some things down. That's not normally my MO. I always am proud to say that I am a C student. I don't prepare for much. As you can see, Mom, I didn't need to study. And it worked out pretty good. So I don't know why I'm the nervous one. You're the one who needs to be nervous. It's a little sweaty up here, but it's an amazing scene right now. Much different than in 2020 when everyone was 6 feet apart and had a mask on. Well, what a crazy idea I had to do this job, and definitely a challenging summer by any means. But thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Bobian. Thank you again to the committee that put this together, Ms. Downey, Ms. Lisa, and crew that arranged all this today. And I just thank you to those that are here and from all walks of life and all types of disciplines and uniforms. I see multiple folks in law enforcement from all over the place, civilians, EMS, fire. Freddie's here, lucky me. Fire chief's here, but I love him dearly. Retirees, the mayor went down a long list of people here. I kind of wrote down some people I expected to be here or hoped they would be here. I'm not sure if Mark Holloman's here. He's probably here. You're on my list, sir. I really appreciate your support and wanted to highlight you. Lee Irwin is here. Lee Irwin's always present. In my entire police career, Lee has been a part of CPD in the city. I recently called him the greatest ambassador of our city, and I appreciate Lee. Current and former mayors, Mayor Durrett, Wes, as I like to call him, thank you. Council people, thank you for your support and your presence. My partners in school safety are here. and they know who they are. For years, we may have done it as good as any region can do in protecting our students, and my partners from Clarksville Montgomery School System are here. I appreciate that. Judges, thank you for your support. I really appreciate your presence. General's here. I'm not sure if my sheriff is here. I know members from the Sheriff's Department are here. Sheriff, I appreciate you being here. Retirees, whether you former CPD of any capacity, in civilian, sworn or non-sworn, I see several faces out there. Al Ainsley is here. Chief Rawson, he wouldn't have missed it for the world. I really appreciate you being here, sir. He hired me. Lieutenant Vaden's here and Jay Runyon are here. All three of those in combo were the ones responsible for hiring me. They did not do very good background checks in that day, obviously. The technology hadn't caught up to that, but I appreciate you giving me a chance. I'm not sure if any current chiefs from the region are here. Springfield, Jason Head may be here. Department heads, I appreciate your support, and I know a number of those are here. We come up with a lot of challenges, and in the last month, Ty's had several as I was burning vacation, floods and tornadoes, and it doesn't matter, trust me, when those things occur. This team that the mayor's rally, we can really come together and get through some stuff. So I appreciate my department heads being present and for their support. And yes, even Freddie Montgomery, he's one of those. He's definitely my brother from CFR, and we've done good across really all first responder groups. I think since COVID, they've come together as a team, and Freddie and I's relationship is a similar to that. Scott Pittman's here. He's going to pray over us in the end, and I really appreciate him being here. He puts a great touch to the end of today's ceremony. And my lake family's here. I moved to the lake, and I see several of their faces here. They came down from Cadiz, and I appreciate your presence here. I almost wish I hadn't brought it up because I didn't want to bother you with it, but I appreciate you being here. If I'm ever in rehab, they have something to do with that, by the way, this group. But I appreciate their presence. I thank my family, my wife and my parents, and my one sister's here. I got another sister in Virginia, and Lori's mom and sister are here also. And definitely want to say thanks to Lori for her partnership in this. She's been a SWAT wife, God help her, and just a spouse or any support for law enforcement or military is it's a job in itself. So I really appreciate that. Stop crying. And obviously I thank God for his guidance and protection. I have leaned on him on countless nights. Bam. We good. I said damn in front of the preacher, didn't I? So Leanne's over there loving it. I told you he'd cry. I'm not crying, but my wife's up there messing it up. So hang in there, baby. We're almost out of here. So that's that. 5 years as chief, nearly 30 years in this job, and I couldn't have chose a better place to work. The only place I've ever worked is CPD, and never had any, any notion that I would be a chief of police one day, much less a lot of things. But damn, I wanted to be a cop, and I got that chance. It says 2020. What was important to us is that CPD ain't broke. We want to keep it internal, and the mayor and the city council and Chief Alfred, they gave me a chance at that. And Al Ainsley, my mentor, sir, all this time, he endorsed me, and I got this opportunity. And what a troubling time it was to have done that. There was a lot going on. I'll just leave it at that. Executive orders and the roughest season in law enforcement that I hope there ever will be. Most of it, overwhelmingly most of it unfair, by far. But we weathered the storm, and we did so by accountability and leadership and support systems from this group here, and a mayor who never left me alone. We were here when I was getting sworn in, and I don't know if you realize this or not. He knows it, sheriff knows it. But I was no more sworn in within hours. We were at a forum on racism and policing. That night, we had to go to a forum. And, didn't even get to celebrate with my team or my family on that. We were dealing with questions that people deserved answers to. But within one day of being promoted, we were at a forum on racism and police. And I can tell you this: the support system and the confidence I got that day from members of the community who were also on the board, those asking the questions, it gave me confidence that this is the right place to be, and this is the right department to lead. And the sheriff and I, we shine because we are who we are, and it doesn't matter what kind of question or accusation somebody want to shoot from afar or cowardly texts in a chat box. Good luck approaching law enforcement in this community with that kind of topic. Now, we're not perfect, and Ty knows that, and Rick knows that, and Lord knows Angie knows that. But we are a culture of accountability, and we do have the policy and the team in place to weather seasons such as this one that I hope we never re-enter. So I appreciate that, Mayor. I appreciate. And I have said that publicly many times. When you saw folks like myself going to podiums and talking about who they are and why they do it, there were a lot of politicians that walked away from guys like me, but not this man. And I'll forever be grateful for that. It set the tone for me to have confidence on those long nights where allegedly I might call the mayor and, but it definitely, it gives you confidence to do what you need to do, because all things happen here whether you realize it or not. And these men and women that stand behind you, most of them, they're the best at what they do. So, again, thanks to the mayor. Thank you, Chief Rawson, for being here, giving me a shot in 1995, and Chief Smith, and Al Ainsley, my little short list of people to put on here. Chief Halford, another one that has been out there in the community when there's been rumors or narratives. Chief Halford is one of the first ones in the community to shut it down and say not his department. So I appreciate you, Chief. My command staff over here looking all sharp. Look at that bunch right there. Looking sharp. Angela, the mayor mentioned Angela, and never take for granted the person at work that keeps you in line, and Angela Downey has done that. She is my executive assistant, has been. She will be Ty's. She definitely does a great job, as do all our support staff at CPD. But Angela, I really appreciate you keeping me in line. All CPD, I don't know how many of you are here, but I know how many we can send. And there's dozens upon dozens out there now doing their job that can't be here right now. I appreciate what do I appreciate the most? The trust. You trust me. There was a few pictures up there of some pretty dangerous scenes, and I know that in my career I have put you in places that could cause you harm. And I just appreciate that trust. I want to dedicate my career and today a little differently. I don't feel that to deserve this. All these people here, probably everybody's here to see Ty anyways. He's way better looking. Look at that guy. Mayor Golden said he wasn't coming because he doesn't like you because you're better looking than him. He doesn't like that. She doesn't like anybody who's prettier than him. So
Look
at you little stripes, and you got you little pins on. Look at that. I did that for Tootsie, by the way. But bear with me one second. I don't want to go on too long, but these folks here, my parents and my sisters, everybody wants to celebrate the soldier, and they should. And everybody wants to celebrate the first responders or what have you, but we're military dependents. And I can't even begin to tell you how many addresses I've had in my life. I was born in Germany, by the way. I think Miss Lana was born in Germany. I heard that the other week. Dad's from Dover and mom's family's from Dover, and they set in motion at that young age to seek something a little better for their family, and off they went. Dad toured in Vietnam, lucky for him. But what they tried to accomplish is in some children that we had to earn it. Do you know how hard it is to be the new kid on the block every 2 years or every 3 years? Every 2 to 3 years we walked in, and I see some heads nod. We always lived off post in most cases, because Dad would buy a house we could fix up, and there was always seemed to be, or always felt that was a disadvantage. To move every 2 years, every 3 years, start over. And really just until recent years, and speaking to young officers and reflecting on my career and this day to come, I realized that having been a military dependent, it was advantageous to this profession. You know, these cops are out here, they are dealing with 200 scenarios a day. And we call it show business. I say stick to the script because you're filming the movie. And the reason I say stick to the script is because it is just that. They have multiple people that they will be in a day's time. And thinking about that, I think about my childhood and how often we had to start over. We didn't have a lot of time to get to know people. Whatever our goals were, which by the way, they were like valedictorians and summa cum something. But at the same time, they were athletes, state champs, she and my sister on the softball team in public schools. Now, I was more on the C level of the GPA, but I wanted to play ball. And to do that, I didn't have time to mill around and worry about what people thought about it. I had to get in there because I knew I was getting out soon. I used to say if Dad was home when I got off the bus, we were moving. And, you know, Tara's here. She went to 3 high schools. She went to 4 high schools before she graduated. And, you know, at times we thought that was a disadvantage, but I can tell you now that a military dependent is one of the toughest people you'll ever meet, and you're looking at one of them. We have excelled from nothing. You know, wasn't a lot of money, nobody handed us anything. So here I stand somehow, having been the chief of police at such a large agency, the best police department in the nation by far. And how did I become that? I think that had a lot to do with it. So I dedicate my career to the military dependent. Wouldn't you say that's fair? So I'd like to do that today. Secondly, I'm going to dedicate it to David Scott. I went to the academy with David Scott. He was killed June 7, 2002, excuse me. He should be here today. He was the first friend I had at this department. The first person I met, day one, as I walked in, the J run that hired me, and the first day of orientation, there sat Dave Scott, bright and early, former 5th group guy, and he should be here today. You know who is out there somewhere? The guy responsible for his death. He's paroled. So for you, Dave Scott, you should be here. And Yamil, they both died together. He was training Yamil the day they died. And then lastly, as far as dedication, I want to dedicate it to anybody that hasn't had an opportunity to have, I guess, somewhat a retirement ceremony. COVID, we couldn't do things like this. There was a lot of people that retired or whatever for illness or whatever reason. I stand here for you. Whether you wanted a retirement ceremony or we just couldn't have it, I stand here for you also. To Ty Burdine.
Yeah,
You want me to tell a few stories?
let's get it. Of course, absolutely.
Well, I know everybody's proud. Your family's proud. Nobody's more proud, I think, than probably Rick and I and maybe Al Ansley. The challenges will be there. There is a story there, by the way. The very first cop that ever Ty met was me. He had an interview set with Lieutenant Vaden at the time, I think, in 1997 maybe. And he and Jason Herman and another individual had just got off the interstate from Morristown, Tennessee, and I was actually working my smart Alex self, was standing in uniform about 2 in the morning, I guess it was, in front of Walmart, an off-duty gig. And as it was back at the time, I was 6'9", I was 290 pounds of just solid muscle. I had hair, I had flow that was everywhere.
Thank you, Coach.
I mean, I was something to be saved. But true story though, Ty walks up and they had interviews, I believe, the next morning with Lieutenant Burdine and that crew in training. The very first cop he ever met was me standing there in front of Walmart. That part of it is true. I didn't have hair at the time, but I was 6'9" and had plenty of muscle. But here's what Ty's going to do. He's going to do it like we always have done it. His heart is saturated with the way CPD is, will be, and should be. We have been raised by the likes of some of the names I mentioned today. Rawson also hired this man, Ty Burdine. And we have some huge people, huge mentors in this department that he will reflect on. But Al Ainsley set us in motion, I believe it was 2008, along with Chuck Gill and some others, and we got this department accredited, and we started following policy and rewriting policy and keeping the ship upright and headed in the right direction. And if there's one thing he will do right, he will maintain that. He makes me a better man, no doubt about it. His faith is huge, and how I've enjoyed in recent years, Rick and a few others getting together with Scott Pittman, who you'll meet here in a minute, and we gathered occasionally on Fridays just to get in the Word and mostly cut up and tease each other. But that's Ty Burdine, and you know, when we were talking about Lori and I this day coming, you know, Rick would be the guy, but Rick and Jamie have plans also. Rick and I started about the same time, so Ty Burdine's our man. The mayor did his due diligence, and he landed on the best candidate, and the council unanimously approved that. And I just am so glad for this department. I'm so proud of you. Just like I mentioned the other day, Ainsley was kind of always above us, and we kind of went where he went, especially in my younger years. And I kind of feel like that was you and I, from SWAT to the district to here we are today. Remain legitimate. I know that's his goal. And we say that if we remain legitimate, then people find our authority also legitimate. So good luck to you, sir. There'll be days. You'll still have fun. You'll always have my number to call me. I've had to call Al a couple times. And we start off the phone on the conversation the same way. Then he gets very serious about what you got going on. So I will be there for you for that, no doubt about it. And you got a great team. Rick's going to get you across the goal line with the budget. And then we'll be back here within a matter of months doing this for Chief Stalder. And then that team that has rallied around me so perfectly, and that top floor crew I've got, and everyone on the top floor that keeps this department the way it is, they got you back, and you know how to do it. You know what to do. So very proud of you.
Good dog.
That's all I got. I always end my conversations or presentations in the same way, and that's not going to change. CPD, be more safe today than you were yesterday. Be fair, be kind, be lawful. I also said in 2020, be proud to be a cop. I ain't ashamed of nothing. So, God bless you. I will see you when I see you.
This it's called
You know, 24 years old when you start this job, and he's given his youth to the city. We were sitting in Angela's office last month, and we were talking about some of Croc's accomplishments, and with Ty and Captain Koyama was in there, and he talked about this. So I wrote it out, and I'm gonna read it. So we were in Angela's office talking about many accomplishments. Captain Koyama recalled that after a difficult TACT operation years ago on Power Street, something didn't just go, it was some difficulties, but it was a successful operation. When they were on the van ride back, in the bread truck, I guess it was, before the armored vehicle, Right back to Vista Lane, everyone was feeling good, and they were just talking about it. And then Croc spoke about that feeling. That undeniable sense of knowing you did a job well. And he told them, when you do a good job, you can feel it. Well, Chief, you've done a tremendous job. You left this department better than you found it. Your legacy will live on in the men and women you've mentored, the policies you've shaped, and the impact you've had on the supervisors, peers, subordinates, and this city. On behalf of the Clarksville Police Department, community you serve so faithfully, thank you. I wish you nothing but the best in your next chapter in life. And when you leave here today and you and Lori have Clarksville in that rearview mirror, you'll undoubtedly feel it, knowing that you did a job well done. Godspeed.
I put it
So now it's time for the Clarksville Police Department to turn the page and start a new chapter. At this time, a member of the Honor Guard will present a dozen yellow budding roses to Leslie Burdine and a single rose to Leslie Joe. Budding flowers represent the anticipation of things to come.
These police and cars of lighting.
So Charles Tyson Ty Burdine began his career with Clarksville Police Department as Croc was saying. First met Croc. It was in July of 1997, 22 years old. He moved here from Eastern Tennessee after being recruited from the East Tennessee Regional Law Enforcement Training Academy. And, they say he's a legend out there. He may have told that himself, but anyway. Served as a patrol officer, first 4 years, promoted to detective, spent the next 7 years in District 3 criminal investigations. During the time, he joined CPD's tactical unit, served as operator, eventually became the commander. 2007, Ty was promoted to sergeant, served in District 1 and District 3 before being appointed to the professional integrity unit. He was promoted to lieutenant 2012, continued his service in District 1. 2017, he earned the rank of captain, first serving in District 1, and then went back to be the commander for the professional integrity unit again. July 2020, was promoted to operations deputy chief. He has a bachelor's degree in criminal justice administration from the Columbia Southern University, graduate from Northwestern University School of Police Staff and Command, and also FBI National Academy of Quantico, Virginia, Session 283. Outside of his professional duties, Ty is a volunteer with a leader in youth at his church, and also a competitive soccer coach, as most of his team is here today. And at this time, I'd like to bring Miss Mayor Pitts back up.
Before I ask Charles Tyson Burdine to come forward to take the oath of office, allow me just a moment of personal privilege. Can't top the stories that Chief Crockarell has told or didn't tell. But when I began my tenure as mayor, Ty Burdine had been a captain for about 2 years. During our time together, I've been a keen observer of watching him display the utmost in professionalism in his actions as well as his way he treated others. He has won the respect of his fellow officers and everyone in the city of Clarksville. Part of my process when we're choosing a new police chief, or any department head really, is I like to talk to those who are going to work for the new leader. During the past few months, I've talked to about 100 officers and others who work for the department, asking them, if we got to have a new chief, who should it be? Well, got to admit, I'm a little jealous because unanimously it was Ty Burdine. I've run a lot of political campaigns. It's never been unanimous for me, even when we ran unopposed, Chief. So, One last time, as Deputy Chief, Chief Burdine, may I ask you and your family to come forward as I administer the oath of office. At the conclusion of your oath, your wife Leslie and daughter Lucy Jo will pin on your badge as the final official act, making you the 18th Chief of Police for the City of Clarksville. You'll then have the floor for remarks. So if you would, please come forward.
Yeah. That's. Say that.
Stand in front of the podium. Y'all come on together, arrangement. This is the family event. Are you ready to take your oath of office?
Yes, sir.
Raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Ty Burdine,
Solemnly swear
solemnly swear
that I will
that I will
support the Constitution
support the Constitution
and will obey
and will obey
all of the laws
all of the laws
of the United States
of the United States
and of the state of Tennessee,
and of the state of Tennessee,
and that I will,
and that I will,
in all respects,
in all respects,
support and obey
support and obey
the Charter
the Charter
and all ordinances
and all ordinances
and resolutions
and resolutions
of the City of Clarksville,
of the City of Clarksville,
and that I will demean myself
and that I will demean myself
in my official capacity
in my official capacity
as Police Chief,
as Police Chief,
faithfully,
faithfully,
honestly,
honestly,
and with due regard
due regard
to the welfare of the city,
to the welfare of the city, to
to the best of my ability.
the best of my ability.
Congratulations. Looking-
That's it.
That's the good of you. Yes. It's got back to sleep. Couldn't end up.
That's good.
Then you. About sure. Step. Stick. Those. Got. These cuts. Which team? That up. My push. Take it. Yeah. What? It's up. It's up.
So,
You look for.
thank you. Thing.
It comes to. We should be.
So is that
Wow. Been overwhelmed today for sure. There's been so many people who've come up to support me, say good things about me, written articles, and I just need to give credit where credit's due. That any good traits for me is just fruit from me knowing God. That's the truth. So just know that one. I need to give credit where credit's due. I wrote down what I wanted to say today, and I'm like Chief Croc that I typically don't do that. I speak from the heart, but then I usually land at different places and I end up crying or something like that, and you don't need to be crying at all today, please, right there. Sit there and smile. But I did write down what I want to say because I think what I say is to the upcoming chief is that there's a lot of weight to the words that I have. And I want to make sure that what I've been thinking as far as the goals and where I want to take this department and the community, that I want to write it down so it's here and I can't get off script. So first I want to thank the mayor, Chief Halford, for this appointment, allowing me to fulfill my calling as police chief. I'm very humbled to be selected. It's truly a privilege and honor to be selected to lead an agency I care deeply about. I also want to express my gratitude to the City Council for putting your trust in me and responsibility that you've placed in me, and thank you very much. You do not get in this position, if Chief can tell you, that I'm stepping into without the help of others. And I can stand up here and give countless examples of people who in this room have provided support to me, wisdom, and guidance. And especially a lot of the retirees or almost retirees, Chief Stalter, and command staff. But I look around the room and I don't care what rank you are, what rank I was. You know, I've learned so much through those here. My first FTO, back there with the big beard on, who doesn't even look the same, Mike Tanner. Larry Vaden, who recruited me, you know, I think he sent a letter to Walter State saying, you know, come be at Clarksville Police Department, $17,000 a year. And I don't know where he's at. Is he here? Terry Midden, I see you out there. Vince Lewis, Terry's pulled me off to the side. I think I spent some time with you as an FTO too. Some of the people who've been around here a long time, Robert Miller, Johnny Ransdell, Bert. I don't know, I'm going to leave people out, but I've learned so much from you, and I do appreciate that. And retirees also know this, that every class that comes in, all the recruits that come in and we speak to, Chief Crockarell or I, we tell them about you and what you've done to build the reputation that we have as an agency. And don't let us down, because so many people has come before you sacrificing sweat. And what you all did to the department, we asked them, don't behave in a way that could jeopardize what we built. Not just us, but you as well. So just know that.
Sure.
I must give a genuine thank you to my wife of 23 years, who's been my biggest fan. And being a cop's wife started early for her. The very night I unromantically proposed, you can ask her about that, it wasn't very good. But actually, Croc had called me that night that it wasn't maybe an hour. Okay, no crying. Seriously. She called me, Croc had called me and said, put on your boots, we got a call out. And it wasn't too long after I proposed to her, and I left. I don't know what time I came back, but that's what I wanted to do. And but I truly thank you for the sacrifices, for allowing me to serve the community and often putting your personal needs aside. To my daughter, Lucy Jo, whose face is probably red right now. She continues to surprise me in a good way as she's becoming a young lady. I thank you, Lucy, and your neighbor sisters for keeping things fun around my house and helping with the stress at times with what you all have done to me. Avery, Emery. Our house is sometimes a crazy. You wouldn't think my house is the way it is, but it is a madhouse sometimes. Lots of middle schoolers there all the time. I thank my mother, who's here today, my father, who's already in heaven, for all the lessons learned and teaching me about integrity, work ethic, and that life's not always fair, but to have determination for what you want and you have to work for it. To my sister, who's here today, and her daughters, who I got the privilege of being a very annoying little brother to. I could tell some stories. My East Tennessee extended family, my Gun Road family, thank you for being here today as well. Pastor Scott Pittman, thank you, brother. My soccer crew. I've had the honor of coaching these young ladies for almost 3 years. And we play almost a year round. And so I spend sometimes more time with them than my family. But they've taught me so much. I could talk about these young athletes. If you've been around me, you probably heard me talk about them. They hold me accountable too, for sure, especially sometimes what I wear. You know, they're not afraid to hold me accountable for that. But they've inspired me on the field and off the field, the way that they play, never give up. Their grit and never give up attitude is something special to see. And actually, I told the mayor during our interview, and by the way, Mayor Pitts and I and Chief Alfred spoke, and part of the process for this interview was to go to tell him what my goals were and list some prompts. And I was in there for maybe 2.5 to 3 hours, and I came out of there and I was telling Leslie how long I was in there, and she goes, "You haven't talked to me in 2.5 to 3 hours since we've been married." That's probably true. But I was telling him, I said, you want to prepare somebody to be chief? You give him 15 type A competitive players who hate to lose middle schoolers. That's for sure. As you've heard today, Chief Crockarell has brought so much to this department, and the city is losing an exceptional chief. And I'm very thankful to have him in my life professionally and personally. And by the way, the parents of Chief David Crockarell, there's a lot of wisdom that he's told stories dime after dime. My dad said this, you don't stack wood twice, all these different things that he said. But he always said, what he learned from you is take care of your people. So that's that's going to carry on. So your legacy is not only with him, but continues on to our department. He's always seen my potential, even when I didn't. His job has been very difficult, but he made it look easy, and that's what the great ones do, is they make it look easy. He's had a full throttle approach to being chief, and as the mayor can attest, he was never afraid to ask for things and dream big. And Chief, you left it better than you found it, for sure. And I could go on here all the lessons you've taught me, but I would probably am getting emotional, but thank you so much for what you've done for me. I followed you along whenever Chief Crockarell left the SWAT or tactical unit, 2009 or 2011. He did the same thing for me as he endorsed me for taking over the command of the SWAT team, and I had no idea that I could do it. But he saw something in me, and I did do it. And the same way it's carrying on today. He saw something in me that I didn't see in myself. But as I take the reins of this agency, my administration will have several areas that we are committed to. Professional accountability, community collaboration, our employees and their wellness, youth outreach, and proactive policing to make Clarksville a safer city. We also will maintain our national accreditation. Professional accountability has been the cornerstone of our agency, and I think that's what separates good departments from great departments. It is certain that rules and policies don't necessarily drive behavior of our employees, but culture does. The saying, what you allow is what you promote, rings true about any culture in an organization. And our culture of accountability was set in place by a man in this room. This man will probably be the one who could tell you the quickest what 24-17 is. That's the score of Tennessee-Alabama game this past year. He also will tell you what 60, 39-7, Chief Ainsley. All-time record, Alabama, Roll Tide. Yep. But among learning about every stat in Alabama football, retired Chief Ainsley has brought so much to this agency and continues to. He's taught us that a successful recipe for an organization is fairness, consistency, accountability, honesty, discipline, and integrity. We heard him say many times that he will never sell his soul beyond this badge, meaning that they will make tough decisions when it's hard for the sake of the department and its reputation, and never compromising with integrity no matter what. Having a zero tolerance on being truthful and not allowing those work here who don't. My team and my administration will continue to do the same. Community collaboration. I want the community to know that we are all in this together. And what is important to you is important to me. We live in a very patriotic community. And we hear as cops so much, thank you. You know, a lot of times we go out on Fridays to eat and our lunch is paid for. We're very thankful for that. And cops very much feel appreciated. They like to feel appreciated. However, I feel that police would much rather be understood. And Instagram and all those other social media platforms that we post, we have hundreds of events a year. Come out and get to know us. I want the community to know also that I will be easily reached and very accessible and very responsive to concerns. Additionally, we could help with recruiting. You've heard Chief Crockarell say many times that it takes all kinds to serve all kinds. And we need help from you. If you want people from your neighborhood to work here serving the city, then please send them our way. Because we've said we can teach them to be cops, but we can't teach them to be good people. That's what we need. So help us find the right officers to serve your community. Our employees. Ladies and gentlemen, we have some awesome police officers here and civilians. I look around the room and sometimes we talk about cops and the police, but civilians make up our department and make it run too. But we certainly have some outstanding civilians and officers. And like Chief Crockarell said, we're not perfect. But if you knew what I knew, what they do daily, you'd be proud too. I don't have to think too far back of examples of what's in my head of just thinking about this past year, from officers knocking on doors to having a gun in their face. irate, intoxicated persons spitting in their face, call names, the sights and smell of death, CPR on babies, terrible crime scenes that don't go away with a night's sleep, being assaulted and even being shot. I've witnessed them come together, and sometimes I'm just there and I'm just watching, and it just makes you proud how they navigate around floods, tornadoes, numerous barricaded gunmen putting themselves in danger. The events that they sometimes in their bodies, that what they have to see, our bodies were not designed to see. Now, I don't say things like this for sympathy. We know what we called up for to do. But if we are humans, and as wellness is our priority, we will allow officers to be the best versions of ourselves to not only the community, but our families. We're very fortunate to have a mayor who understands how important this is, and we've had the funding through Chief Crockarell and City Council to have full-time therapists with our police department. And I firmly believe in that. And his name is, I think Mr. Josh Forbes is here today, but he's our therapist, and he doesn't just sit in his office and wait for calls to come in. He's out there on the scenes. He's out there on the significant events where he knows that officers are about to see something, and he just sits and watches, reflects, and watches the behaviors of the cops. So he knows to go check on them later. So thank you so much for that. And wellness will be a priority for us. Youth outreach. If you know me, you know that I'm always been in some type of way a coach. Of course, this is my favorite team right here, I've coached. But I've always been that way. And under Chief Crockarell, Mayor Pitts, City Council, again, we were able to, go after a grant and have the funding for a JET unit. It's called a juvenile engagement team. And they go out into the community with not a handcuff approach, but with the mentorship to change behaviors of at-risk kids. And I could sit up here and tell you hundreds of events that they do a year. I could tell you countless examples of kids, youth, that they've changed just by hanging out with them and showing that we're just humans. We're humans too. But there's a better way to live than the way you're living. And that's what they do. So I appreciate that. And that's what we'll continue to do. We are guarding crime. Our crime strategies under Chief Crockarell, and we will continue to do the same, has been successful, and by the numbers, we're the safest large city in Tennessee. And we will continue to prioritize violent offenders and using every resource that we have to bring justice to victims and families. We will prioritize quality of life crimes that are important to our community, and we will force multiply with our other department heads who are awesome. Thank you for the support, by the way. And also other cities in our region to mitigate crime. Again, I say we are all in this together. If you see something, say something. And lock your car, please. Gosh. In closing, I'm very eager and ready to accept this challenge. I want nothing more than our department to be trusted and legitimate in the eyes of the community. And I want to lead an agency that not only our employees are proud of, but their moms, their dads, their sons, daughters, cousins, aunts are proud to be a part of as well. I commit to this city that I will give my all. I will lead by example with humility and seek to continue to hire good humans, stand for what is right, and never compromise on integrity. Thank you very much.
Well, everybody keeps messing up my slide. It's all right, this time, I'm going to ask Pastor Scott Pittman to come up. He's the community impact pastor of Hilldale Baptist Church. Like I said earlier, Croc was mentioning, he's regularly met with members of the command staff, building strong relationships and offering insightful counseling, help guide all of our work, both spiritually and professionally. Our
happen, I guess, and then Scott, me, or so she was stay good periods.
It's an incredible honor to stand among Croc and Ty and your families that I am so thankful that God let me be a part of. And this day has been hilarious and awesome. And it gives me just such a joy to be able to stand alongside the city, but really to be an ambassador of Jesus. That's my joy. And to have a city that wants to put leaders in place that believe, accept, promote, and most importantly, lean on the one who is greater than all things. For you who are in blue, you have people praying over you, standing in the gap for you. Just know that. You may not know them, but our God is hearing the prayers on behalf of you. For those in leadership, for those who are in former leadership, you're leaning on our God who is so, so eager to hear your worries and your cares. It's such a joy, and you're not alone. It's a joy to stand alongside of you. And Croc, it's not the first time I've heard you cuss, so it wasn't a shock. Sitting in the Bible study, that was a little more of a shock, but you know, it is what it is, bro. It's good. It's good.
Forgiven.
Yes, you are forgiven. And we use that a lot. Ty, it's a joy to stand alongside of you. You, Leslie, Lucy, Joe, man, you are just awesome. Just a brother in Christ. And we're here for you. For the guys in our study, man, I love y'all. So thankful for this. There's a verse that just comes to my mind. It just keeps playing over and over from 1 Corinthians 15. It says, "Therefore, my beloved brothers, be steadfast, immovable, always abounding in the work of the Lord, knowing that in the Lord your labor is not in vain." If you know who you abide in, then you know why you do what you do. Your suit, what you wear, doesn't make you who you are. It's knowing whose you are. And knowing that Ty Burdine knows the Lord Jesus. He has an identity that gives us a confidence that he is right where he's supposed to be. Let's pray. Father, thank you so much for loving us the way you do. There is no greater joy that we have but to stand before you and say thank you for protecting us. Thank you for providing for us. Thank you for your encouragement over us. But thank you most of all for providing your Son, our Savior, our King, for eternal life. We know that in all things we find seasonal places of discouragement, despair, hope, joy, but above it all, you never leave us and forsake us. Though we go through the fires, we will not be burned. Though we go through the floodwaters, we will not drown. For you know us by name. We are yours. And so, Father, I pray that today, as we honor Croc and all that he's done for the city, for this department, and as we start a new season with Ty, and all of these that are here not only in support, but who stand to protect our city, who are in the trenches when we are sleeping. Father, thank you and bless them. May your hand be on them. May their families be protected. May their lives sense the urgency needed to come to a God who never sleeps and he never slumbers, that we can trust you. You are all that we need. And when we find leaders that know that, then they're able to serve out of a capacity that this world doesn't know. So thank you, Father, for the way that you have guided and led the city. But thank you for letting us have relationships that help us to enjoy the life that you've given to us. We embrace you, Jesus. We thank you for this amazing day and these wonderful people. It's in your name we pray. Amen.
This being a big yeah, don't talk to you, but did I could good. Okay, speaking thanks. It's the condition you still to have the condition.
All right, if y'all will please stand as the honor guard will retire the colors.
Oh, you need the balls there. You just keep going. Path right. 1, 2. You have a chest. Nice, my body control. Yes. That.
Hold on. Oh. Right. Hey. Is it? Oh.
This can. This.
Or. Oh.
I think.
Trade. Oh.